The first level of the personality is beliefs. They are definitions that you are taught to believe are true about reality. It is very important how that is phrased. We are not saying that beliefs are true representations of reality. We are simply saying beliefs are what you have been taught to believe are true representations of reality. Without a belief or a definition of reality, you cannot experience physical reality. Conversely, everything that you do experience of physical reality stems from what you believe or define to be most true about physical reality. From this idea, you can clearly understand that if you want to change the experience of physical reality, what you need to do then is change the belief, change the definition you have of reality. Now, please understand that when we go into detail about how to change your definition and how to change your beliefs, we're talking about how to do this more consciously because you're already doing this all the time. If you were not changing your beliefs and definitions all the time, you would not have an experience of time and space in physical reality. Nothing would seem to change at all. So you are really very, very rapidly, on an unconscious level, changing your definition of reality all the time in order to have a sense or an experience of continuity and motion and the change of time. And by bringing a certain aspect of this ability into more conscious awareness, it gives you more control as to exactly how to change those definitions and what kind of experience of physical reality to have. We will get to the idea more specifically of how to change definitions and beliefs in a moment. But first, let us go to the next component that creates physical personality, that is emotion. Emotion is literally energy in motion. And all emotions must come from beliefs. In other words, you have to have a belief about something before you can actually feel a certain way about that thing. If you don't have a definition of something, if you don't believe something to be true in a certain way, then you don't actually have a feeling about that thing, or not very much of one. So all of the feelings that you experience in life stem from a definition that exists within your personality first. And then the third component is the idea of thoughts, your mental side. And so all thoughts, in a sense, stem from the emotions which stem from the beliefs. In some senses, thoughts can also generate more directly from beliefs as well, but they usually come through the emotional component at the same time. And this forms the triangular structure of the personality, which is belief, emotion, and thought patterns. All together, these three components then determine behavior, action. This is why you have a saying on your planet. You know who they are, you know who a person is, not so much by what they say, but by what they do. Because when a person just says something, you may be dealing with only really one or two, in a sense, of the components of the personality structure. You may be dealing with all three, but not in an active way. But when you see a person's behavior, you can know, without a doubt, that you are seeing the result of the activation, the engagement of all three personality components fully engaged, fully active. And then you can tell from your own behavior, your own actions, or someone else's behavior, someone else's actions, as to whether or not there is any imbalance or negativity in any of the three components of their personality. Since the triangle of personality is belief and emotion and thought patterns, the idea is that these three must be in perfect equilibrium, perfect balance. In a sense, you could use a metaphor and say that if there are negative beliefs and negative emotions and negative thought patterns, then in a sense, you could say that the triangle is reversed. And then you can learn to bring it back into balance with the ideas and techniques that we will be discussing this day. The reason that this is so important is as follows. If you are going to create the reality you prefer, if you are going to manifest your dreams, you must allow the physical personality to be in balance. That's one thing. You must create the beliefs, emotions, and thought patterns to be in a positive state of energy. And in order for these ideas, in a sense, to stay with you, for you to be able to use them, you must be in harmony with your spirit and in harmony with creation. What this means in simple language is you must be willing and able to love yourselves fully, unconditionally, and accept the unconditional love of all that is. Because no matter how many techniques we may teach you or how many tools we may share with you, none of them will really stick very strongly or have a strong effect if you do not harmonize with yourself and creation first by staying within a state of unconditional love. Anytime you move out of that vibration of loving yourself and receiving the love of creation, the tools will be less effective. The techniques may still work a little bit, but they will not be as powerful, they will not be as lasting. The reason that the tools are designed this way, to be more effective when you are in that state, is so the tools will always guide you back to that state where they work best. So all the tools and techniques contain a self-guidance system to bring you back into alignment, or perhaps more specifically, to make you want to go back into alignment so that they will work more powerfully. So the tools, in a sense, are functioning like the scuba diver's mask. When you are out of alignment with your self-love and the love of creation, it's like taking the mask off. Suddenly everything underwater looks murky and fuzzy and indistinct. It's harder to tell what direction you're going in because you cannot see the landmarks under the water as clearly. But when you put the vibration of love back into the equation, it's like putting the mask back on and suddenly everything is sharp and clear and your path is well defined. Now suddenly it's not just things close up you can see, now you can see the big picture. You can see and appreciate at a distance. So, when you are then using the techniques we are going to share and you find that they are not working so strongly, center yourself, get back into alignment, love yourself, receive the love of the infinite, stay in that space, and they will work just fine. When you stay in that state of love, you have a 100% guarantee from the infinite that these tools will work as advertised. The thing that is beautiful about creation is that guarantee never expires. It is forever. So then, let us go back to the idea of the first component of physical reality, the first component of the personality, the belief system. Once we have then reviewed and understand the techniques for transforming the personality components, we will then step forward toward how to use this with regard to the vibration of excitement. Once we have reviewed the personality, we will move on to the idea of excitement. Of course, excitement will be contained throughout the discussion because it is always very exciting to learn how to use a tool and see a result. So, manifesting your dreams, manifesting your excitement. Belief. Again, belief is a definition. Let's use the analogy of a house. You're going to build a house. That is your physical reality that you prefer. That's your dream. Belief is the blueprint of the house. Emotion, just to move ahead for a moment, are the builders of the house. Thought patterns are the building materials that you are using. So, you can understand that the quality, the precision of the blueprint is important. The quality of the builders is important, and the quality of the building materials is important in order to have a high quality house. So if the blueprint is not well drawn, if the builders are lazy, if the building material is rotting and falling apart, the house will not stand, it will collapse. But if the blueprints are well drawn and the builders are energetic and the building material is first class, the house will be beautiful and stand for a long time. So, again, belief, the definition of reality. This is like an equation, like a mathematical equation. This equals that. So when you have a certain belief, what you are doing is creating a certain formula for the kind of reality you say it is most likely you will experience. So let's start with some simple beliefs so I can use that as an example of what I am talking about. Here is one that is very popular on your planet. Success is difficult. That's the equation. Success equals difficulty. If you have been taught to believe that it is difficult to create success in your life, then you will constantly create patterns and situations that prove the equation. You hear mathematicians talking all the time about finding proofs for their equations. Well, that's what life is. Life, the reality you experience, is the proof of the equation you have in your belief system. This is why it is so important to understand what physical reality is in terms of reflecting your beliefs to you. Because physical reality is just a mirror reflecting to you your strongest beliefs about what you think is true. Reflecting your strongest beliefs back to you about what you believe is possible for you. This is how to use your life and the circumstances that happen in your life in a positive way to put you in touch with your belief. Physical reality is very much like, literally, a mirror. So if you are having a sad life or a sad situation, it's because it's reflecting back the sadness that you are putting out. It's just like the mirror that you look at yourself in the morning. If you see a sad expression on the face in the mirror, you don't try to touch the face in the mirror and make the reflection smile. You know you cannot change the expression in the mirror out there. You know the only way to change the expression in the mirror is to change the expression on your face first. So, because physical reality is literally a mirror, it works the same way. If you see something out there that you don't prefer, you cannot really force it to change by working outside yourself. You have to change what's inside in order to see a change outside. Because outside doesn't really exist. It's an illusion, a reflection. Just as you know, the person you see in the mirror isn't really over there. All the light is going to the mirror and bouncing back to show you the person in the mirror is really here. So when people on your planet project their problems onto other people or blame other situations for being responsible for how they feel out there, that's not really where it's coming from. It's coming from here. But this is the beauty of physical reality functioning like a mirror, because it always turns you back to yourself. If something is going on in your life that's not the way you prefer it to be, then physical reality is beautifully showing you there is something you need to change in your belief system in order to make the change happen out there. And the first level to always check is the belief system. You must find the equation, how the equation is written that would create that kind of an effect in your life. The way to do this is simply by asking yourself the following question. What would I need to believe in order to experience what is going on out here in my physical life? Again, please remember, there's a difference between the idea of struggling and suffering and simply experiencing a challenge that is exciting. Challenge is positive. Suffering is negative. So make sure, first of all, that you're not just referring to the idea of challenge. You will always have challenge because challenge helps you stretch and grow. But when you stay in positive belief, the challenges will also be exciting. But if you find yourself struggling and suffering as you unfold your life, then let your life reflect to you that there must be an equation within your belief system that says life must be a struggle. When you discover what the equation is, then you can move to step 2. So step 1 is finding out what the belief is, what the equation is, such as success is difficult. Now, once you have identified the equation, the belief, the definition, something very magical happens. Perhaps for a long time in your life, this definition that has been unconscious within you has felt very powerful because the struggle in your life feels very real and very powerful. And one of the reasons sometimes that it may seem difficult to change is that because when you do hold on to a belief, it generates energy, it generates power. And most belief equations contain a very specific variable or factor. Most beliefs, when they are in place, appear to be the only belief possible. Many beliefs, when they are firmly lodged in your personality structure, make it appear as if no other belief is possible. There is only one exception to this, and that is the fundamental belief that all beliefs are equally true and equally possible. But if you don't have the belief within you that all beliefs are equally true and equally possible, then each other belief will make it seem as if no other reality is possible. And this is what makes it seem more difficult to change your belief and change your reality. It isn't more difficult, it just makes it appear more difficult. But the reason that this factor exists is so that when you do choose a belief, you'll be able to focus on that reality without worrying about slipping out of that focus. It's like an automatic mechanism, so you don't have to constantly think about holding on to that belief in order to have a certain experience. But if you understand that that's how belief is structured, then it is easier for you to change that factor, to unlock that factor and unlock from any particular belief. And the technique for unlocking from any belief is what we have just said. The first step, you must identify the belief. You must use your reality to reflect to you what belief you would have to have in order to experience that reality. But here is the thing that is powerful and magical about identifying the belief. As soon as you are aware of what the belief is, as soon as you have identified it, the belief now becomes neutral. It has no more power. You do not have to do anything extra or anything special in order to depower or turn off that old belief. Identifying it is enough to switch it off and make it neutral. So now you can understand that belief has no more power at all right at that moment when you are holding it there in your thoughts and you are aware of what it is. Any tendencies or habits that were connected to that belief have now been neutralized. If you keep doing the same thing from that point forward, it's not because it's a habit, it's because you are now choosing to do that again. Because remember, a habit is something you do that you don't know you're doing. Once you know you have the habit, you don't have it anymore. People on your planet have been taught to believe that when they discover they have a particular habit, then they think they are just at the beginning of a process that they have to figure out in order to change that habit. But it's just the opposite. The recognition that you have a habit is the end of the process. At the moment you realize you have the habit, in that moment you do not have the habit. So, just like belief system, you've identified the belief, it is now neutral. You no longer have that belief, it's unplugged.